Hi, I'm Ems, aka on Dark and Wings. In this video, I will be building a dark fantasy style house in a very simple way. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps my small channel grow and gives me the motivation to keep making these videos. Even though I do own several 3D printers and do like to print out terrain, I still do find it fun and humbling and a bit nostalgic as well to go back and make my own handmade terrain. And I still do it from time to time, and I thought it would be a great time to start making some more, with Warhammer Fantasy, or aka the Old World, returning. I grew up in a time painting miniatures before there were any pre-done kits really, and no 3D printers, so we had to learn to make our own, either from White Dwarf articles or scale modelling books. You can find a lot of these articles still online, and there's other YouTubers that make these. However, I wanted to give you a very simple way in which I'm going to be making a house. The main thing I'm using is cardboard, and this is quite robust, so this is the stuff which you would get groceries in, such as in Aldi and Lidl. If you're following along, I would recommend making sure the cardboard is robust that you're using, and you could always just cheat and just use a pre-done cardboard box that's quite small. Anyway, so I've cut up that box I got from Aldi, and it already has sort of a shape to it, so I'm going to glue these two parts together to make more of a box house sort of thing. The cool thing as well is this joint comes out at the side, so this would be great for creating a roof. You could just use a flat roof if you wanted to, but that would probably be more for like hotter countries like you would get in the Tomb King's armies. Or you could easily just stick two pieces together in a triangle to create a roof shape. So here is the progression of the house built. So what I've done is I've glued those two pieces together and I've reinforced it with some more cardboard. I know it looks a bit mishmash now, but it'll look better later. And then I've cut some holes out for the windows and as well for the door. What I've done is I've added some popsicle sticks to that to make it look like a wooden door. You could just cut a hole out for the door if you wanted to, for quick. So now that I'm happy with the basic structure of this, what I'm getting is some texture repair stuff, so like a grout. This is like spackle, and this is really awesome for creating like concrete and other textures. This stuff is fantastic as a cheap way of creating terrain, or even going over the top of bases. You could create a terrain board quickly with this and cheaply. You just put it down, and like I said, you can make some concrete, or you could make something a bit more muddy, like in a trench. Now that I'm happy with the placement of this, I added quite a lot to the roof, as I wanted to kind of simulate some sort of thatched, sort of textured roof. I then grabbed an old stiff brush, and I'm working it into this, so creating some more texture, and again trying to simulate that thatched sort of effect. Instead of using grout in this way, you could use some clay and put that on the roof instead, and then stipple in with your brush. Another thing I think would look cool is the ripped up parts of cardboard you get in packaging like these. So here is how it looks once it's all dried. My friend said it looked like a gingerbread house at this stage, and yes it does. I'm all for that, forbidden frosting. So I've skipped ahead here, I did lose some footage, but just to catch up, I primed it all in black, and then I just used some craft paint which was beige and put that over the bottom part of the house. If you're painting terrain, it's probably worth just getting some craft paints for that, like Winsor & Newton or another cheaper art brand. It just saves you expensive paints for your miniatures. And what I'm doing is thinning down some Wildwood contrast paint here, and then I'm just adding some depth and making it look a bit more worn out and grubby. After that I grabbed a Pro Acrylic Ivory colour, and now I'm just stippling it on, so it's like dry brushing. But I'm not going too heavy-handed, I'm just adding some dots and some textured marks just to make this house look a bit more visually interesting. I just personally wanted to add a little bit of realism with this. And now I'm moving on to the thatch roof part now. To be honest, I think I put too much grout on the top of this as it hadn't set completely, but it was dry enough just the paint. I think next time I'll make it thinner, or perhaps just use some clay instead, but that would obviously take a bit more time. And I just wanted to limited materials with the grout. But you just learn. That's a great thing about painting. There's a lot of great learning curves. Anyway, I've grabbed a reddish brown colour here, and again this is just a cheap craft paint I have. I think this actually, funnily enough, looks a little bit like lava, and I think I could do sort of a similar technique in that way if you wanted to do some lava on some bases or some terrain boards. And after this, I mix some of that ivory in with the reddish brown, and I'm going to dry brush this over the top just to kind of create more depth, as I wasn't a huge fan of this colour. Once again, I think because the grout didn't dry fully, the paint itself wouldn't dry the same as well. And like I said, I think if you're going to be doing it this way, make sure the grout is thinner and fully dry before you start painting. So what I've done for the door is, for the last part, I just grabbed a random brown, so I'm using mahogany from Pro Acryl. And then after that, I added a wash of Wildwood Contrast, just to kind of make it look a bit more worn out and add some more depth to it. And then to make it look even more grubby and even more like worn out than that, I dry brushed over the top some light Umbra from Pro Acryl. I like using my cheap makeup brushes for terrain pieces like this, where I don't want to get my like good artist opus ones messy. And then I'm just adding some texture as well by stippling. And here is the house completed. I think it looks pretty good considering I use very limited materials. It's mainly just cardboard and grout with a few popsicle sticks thrown on. It just shows you what you can achieve if you want to save some money and make your own terrain, and I really like the aesthetic of this. It has this like dark fantasy, almost like Mordheim feel to it. If you would like to support my channel, I do have a Patreon and donations in the link in the description below. Otherwise, please share this video. Thank you for watching, and remember to enjoy your hobbies for yourself. Respect that people enjoy them in their own ways. And at the end of the day, they're just war dollies. I will see you in the next one.